Hey everybody, this video is going to be talking about the next step that we will encounter, which is to start using the databases and things like that to find some research. So now that you've created your outlines, it's time to start thinking about how to further support your critical response to that text or the TED Talk that you chose by bringing in sources that are credible sources. So credibility of sources is something that I'm thinking you've heard of before. You've probably heard about this in 1301, but we have to be careful about what kinds of information we choose to trust when it comes to finding source material. There's a lot of misinformation out there. It's becoming harder and harder to discern what is false information from what is true, especially when you see, a lot of the adaptations that are coming out with things like even being able to create videos where it looks like people are talking about something, but they aren't actually, it's not a real video. So we have to be careful about what we use, because when you're researching, whatever you decide to use as source material really speaks to your own personal ability to judge that and to use the strongest support that's out there for your position. So when you're doing a critical response, the research part of this is one way to add this critical layer to what you're doing when you respond to that original person. It is a way that if you want to primarily support the original person, that TED Talk speaker that you chose, or the writer of the article or chapter of the book, if you want to primarily support them, then the research that you do is your contribution to that position, right? Or to the reasoning as to why their points are valid. This is basically a way that you can contribute to the cause or contribute to that side of the argument or that particular position by bringing in new information that also supports what the TED Talk speaker is saying or what the author is saying. If you disagree or want to challenge the author at any given point, if that's, and that can be for all of your points, or it can be a combination where you're agreeing with some things, disagreeing with other things, challenging with other points. If you want to challenge them, then the research that you use becomes important for another reason, right? Because you have to then demonstrate and give further evidence as to why you think that there are problems with what the original person is saying. So research is key to helping develop a strong critical response. And one of the primary objectives when we do research is that we make sure that we have trustworthy, solid source material, not using misinformation or things that could be challenged as misinformation as best as possible. Okay, so when you are thinking about what makes a source trustworthy, I want you to think about using source material from an individual or an organization that has experience or education in that topic, or some combination of experience and education. So think about that. You want to use expert opinion, or you want to use people who have been through or experienced something as your first area to go to for solid information. Now, there are also other places that you can find things that people who are known to be solid researchers themselves may have done research projects in this topic area. So they have educated themselves along the way in doing that process. So that would qualify. But we're looking for things that come from somewhere that we know. First off, we need to know who's putting this information out there, or what organization it is. If you don't know that, or it's not visible for you on a website, you can't tell who's putting this out there, then I would not recommend using it for a research project. Because once you put this into writing and use this quote or this fact or this opinion from somebody, you're putting your name alongside of that piece of information, right? You're saying that you are thinking this is strong support. So if this is a mystery person out there and you don't know if they're credible, don't use them in a research project. So places online to find more credible sources. There are some places to go to search where you're more likely to find credible, trustworthy source material. Okay, one of these places is called Google Scholar. I don't know if you've ever used Google Scholar before, but it is another Google search engine. You can get to it just by typing in Google Scholar in Google. And it is going to allow you to search for more academic types of materials. It is free to use as a search engine, but a lot of the results that you find may ask you to pay subscription fees because these are high quality journal articles, or they're published by experts in these fields, so they may require subscription fees. So, however, a lot of the sources will not, and you're still going to be able to see articles for free on there, and portions or chapters of books on there for free too. So it's really cool to explore Google Scholar. If you find an article that you really like on Google Scholar, but it's asking you to pay for it, it's possible that Lone Star will have that article available to you for free as a student through the Lone Star databases in the library. Or through the library. Okay, so today I'm going to demonstrate how to use the Lone Star databases if you haven't used them before. And this is going to be one of the places that you can go to find source material for essay, for your critical response essay, and for what we do in the future in the class. So I want you to please follow along with this demonstration, and I am going to just show you a couple of tricks in the process of making this short video for you. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen here. So hold on one second. Let me make sure that I'm sharing it. Okay. All right. So if you start by going to Lone Star's website, should be seeing Lone Star's website on the screen here. If you start by going to Lone Star's website, you're going to click up here where it says libraries. And there are several paths to get to this, but you can click up here that says libraries. Notice this red bar right here. This bar is a live chat function with our librarians. These are real people, not robots out there that will respond to you and are there to help you research. So if a librarian is available, they will respond. These are real Lone Star librarians out here. At least last I checked, these are real librarians, and they're very friendly and they want to help you. So chat with a librarian, feel free to use that. You know, I'm also available to help you, but I am going to ask, have you chatted with a librarian first? Because these are the experts in finding these specific articles. And even though I am very experienced in it, I think the librarians are going to be a great place to go to help you as well. Okay, so if you go to the Lone Star Library's website, you can either go to research databases, or you can go here where it says find articles. I'm going to click on find articles. You can go by topic. So if your TED Talk has to do with health and medicine, maybe it's a medical topic, maybe you would go here. You know, topics in education might go here, you know, criminal justice over here. But I'm going to say for today, current issues and news, because this covers a wide range of topic areas. When you click on this, these are collections of publications that have been made by credible institutions, or, you know, collections through online electronic databases of these expert publications. So there's a lot of databases. There are a lot of databases available. Some of these give you a big, broad overview, almost like we would find in an online encyclopedia or something like that. So these are cool for that. If you just want to know more background information about a topic, you know, let's say you're interested in the TED Talk that you chose or article you chose, but you don't know a whole lot about that topic and you would like to get some more background, this could be a really good use for a topic overview database and going into one of these. For today, I'm going to go straight to the articles, and I'm going to actually demonstrate Academic Search Complete today. Okay, so remember that I mentioned that some of these require subscription fees, and that Lone Star pays your subscription fee because you're a student at Lone Star. So that means that only Lone Star students can access this. And you have to demonstrate that you are a Lone Star student in order to get in here. So you do not need a library barcode. However, Okay, you do not need one. If you have a library barcode on the back of your student ID card, you can type in your barcode here and log in that way. But if you don't, you do not need this. You can go down here where it says My Lone Star email address and password, click on that, and then you log in exactly the same way that you log into D2L. It's the same username and password. Okay, so once you've logged in, you can start to search. I recommend going to Advanced Search in Academic Search Complete. Let's just use Sherry Turkle as an example because we're using Sherry Turkle as practice. You know, we are not necessarily, no one is writing about Sherry Turkle. So this is a good place to start. Sherry Turkle's TED Talk, if you saw her TED Talk, had to do with us, you know, needing to create boundaries around our use of technology so that we can develop conversation with each other. So if I wanted to write to Sherry Turkle, you know, I might want to look for articles that have to do with technology and communication skills, or technology and maybe even like what I'm going to type here now, technology and loneliness. You know, she talks about technology and specifically social media and its ability to possibly create an increase in loneliness. So I'm just going to search for this and see what happens. I don't know what it's going to pull up here. Okay, so it's pulling up 811 articles. So on the left-hand margin, I am going to want to select limit to full text. This is going to limit it to mainly articles that I can see the full article right now. So that's something that I'm going to want to do there, and it's going to reboot my results and give me a smaller, more workable number. When you're searching, a lot of it has to do with experimentation and experimenting. If you get too many results, maybe typing in more keywords or more specific keywords, and doing the opposite if you're not getting enough results. And by the way, I see that it is pausing right now, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a second here. Okay, so I just paused the recording to let it upload on the screen for a second. It has rebooted my results to 382 articles instead of 811. So that's a much better range. What I am also going to want to do probably is change the publication date. You know, this is a topic that has to do with technology and loneliness. So I'm really more interested in what's going on right now and more recent results or more recent research. And that's because technology, of course, changes and evolves all the time. And not only that, but we've had a more recent surge in looking into and studying impacts on mental health. So I'm going to change this to actually give me just everything from 2016 forward. Okay, so that's 267 articles now. Okay, so let's just have a glance here. I'm going to show you a couple of tricks. When you're looking through the results, you will see your titles. You will see also HTML full text or PDF full text. This is how you actually get to those articles. You can see what kind of article it is. It's an academic journal article. That's great. That means somebody in academia, somebody in this case, it looks like maybe a clinical psychologist or a group of clinical psychologists have done a study and they're publishing about the study. So that's cool. It's also recently done. I'm looking at the date that it came out. It came out December of last year. So that's another positive sign for this topic because it's super recent. I'm going to see how long it is too. This 11P is telling me how long it is. It's 11 pages long. I recommend that you use sources that are at least 5 pages long, if not more than that, because you want to get some substance behind this source. You want it to give you some content that you can use to educate yourself and also to have great material to include in your letter as part of your letter. So let's just say that I'm interested in this one. And I think, you know what, this could be a really good article for me to use for my critical response. And I want to actually have a look at it and see what it looks like. So I'm going to click on the PDF full text, which is going to open up the article. PDF is kind of neat because it shows you the way that it looked when it was actually published. So that's kind of cool to see the formatting of how it looked. You may sometimes see an abstract. An abstract is a summary of the article that is essentially giving you the core main ideas that are provided in that source. So to save yourself time, sometimes you might want to look through the abstract to see, does this look like this is going to help me or not help me? It looks like this is a study that was done. They're giving you the amount of time that they used and how many participants they had. They completed 16,000 assessments over time, and they're investigating this social inclusivity and lower levels of loneliness was more pronounced when participants were in contact with nature, indicating interaction between social and built environment on loneliness. Feeling of loneliness changes in relation to social and environmental factors, potential implications for public health strategies, interventions. So this looks interesting to me. I mean, you know, you may feel differently. This may not be the way that you are thinking when you think about what Sherry Turkle said and loneliness of social media. I'm thinking it's a possibility that this could connect. So as I'm looking through this, I'm then going to read through the article and I'm going to see if I really think that I might want to use this as a possible source. Now, let's just say that I think, hey, this could be really useful. Okay. On the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see some icons in Academic Search Complete, this particular database, where it's going to give you some different features. You can email the article to yourself by clicking the envelope icon and just entering your email address and hitting send. That's a neat function because that way you're going to remember that article and you're going to be able to find it later in your research without having to go back in here and searching through to find it. There's also another button that I want to show you, which is the Cite button. It is 2 buttons down from the envelope, and it looks like a yellow sort of letter kind of thing. The Cite button is fantastic because it allows you to have your MLA citation or whatever citation style you need for that particular class. You can see here we've got Chicago, we've got APA. So just be careful to select the MLA for our class because we're using MLA for the critical response paper. So you're going to copy and paste the citation of the source. This includes all of that information, like the authors, you know, the title, the specific journal that it came in, a volume number, a volume and issue number, if that was the case, which it is in this one. The month and year of publication could possibly be there with page numbers, specific, generator that collects it, in this case, EBSCOhost, the DOI number, which is an identifying number, kind of similar to a URL address, but for articles, for academic articles and things like, and sources. So the Cite button is really useful and helpful because then, of course, you can just copy that into your works cited. Okay, so thinking about those databases, they take time to use. They take experimenting with your keywords, changing, using synonyms. You know, if you were searching for law enforcement and you're not seeing the articles that you wanted, you can change and search for police. You have to think strategically about how to search in the databases sometimes because they are so huge that you need to make sure that you're entering the keywords that are going to generate the right kind of response for you. Okay, so I hope this was helpful as we start to think more about our critical responses. Next week, what you're going to see is midway through the week, I'm going to look over your rough drafts to give you a little bit more of a help with that. You'll also be looking through each other's rough drafts. You'll see this in the weekly module under content as well. Let me know if you have any questions, and otherwise, do keep in mind that the rough draft, just like the outline, the rough draft is changeable. With the outline assignment, as long as you were creating an outline that had the components that you needed to have, you'll do well on the outline. But think about this, the outline is a place to start planning. You are not committed to the ideas that you had in the outline. You can change that and write about something else, a different idea that you may have later. And with the rough draft, you're not committed to that either. You can change the rough draft quite a bit before your final draft. So I just want you to do the best that you can and enjoy thinking through, deeply thinking about that original piece that you chose to respond to. All right, I hope everybody is having a great week, and I will be in touch soon.